So I would like to run through some great restorative yoga poses for runners. Restorative yoga is really wonderful for runners because it helps you open up muscles in a way that's more relaxing. If you think about running, it's very energy intensive, sort of to put it in an Eastern philosophy context, it's very yang or yang, however you want to pronounce that, very stimulatory, gets cortisol going, just kind of a little stressful on the body, honestly. And so things like restorative yoga, and its close sister yin yoga, both restorative yoga and yin yoga share some poses, and that type of yoga is more slow paced, and so it's a very nice complement to more active forms of exercise like running. And so it's sort of that dichotomy between things that stimulate a lot and things that are more, as the name suggests, restorative. And so I want to share some of my favorite restorative yoga poses for runners with you today. And a lot of them are hip openers. I know runners tend to have very tight hips, which is why yoga can be great for runners, helps open up those tight hip muscles. Okay, so restorative yoga poses for runners. You'll notice that I have my handy dandy pillow next to me. I would highly recommend getting like a nice pillow, stack of blankets, or if you have yoga blocks, grab those for restorative yoga, because you're going to want to make sure that you're supported enough to where you can really relax into the poses. The idea behind restorative yoga, yin yoga, is that you want to help try and start releasing the connective tissue that helps connect bone to bone, muscle to bone, and even your skin to muscle, that fascial connective tissue in between those layers. So the first one I will show you is a variation of cow face pose. So I'll show you from a couple directions. I'm going to bring one foot to the outside of my hip. The other leg is stacking on top, trying to get my knees to stack. If you are not that flexible, you can always keep your feet out a little bit, or you can not quite stack your knees, whatever you need to make the pose feel right. So I have my legs set up. What I'm going to do is take my pillow, or again, a blanket, a yoga block. I'm just using my pillow to demonstrate that it's easy to do with props that you have at home, and simply melt forward. You'll notice that I'm leaning forward with my palms up when I'm in this restorative yoga pose. It can help to release a little bit better sitting with your palms up. If you press your hands down, there's sometimes the urge to use your hands to kind of pull yourself down instead of just let the release happen. And so when you're doing restorative yoga or yin yoga, it can be nice to sit with your palms up. And so in this pose, I would simply release down. Again, I would completely release my head and my neck, but I can't talk to you if I do that. And what I'm doing is just allowing my body to surrender. And so in a restorative yoga pose like this, you're going to want to hold it for a while. Hold it for a couple minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes per side, and really sink into it. Allow your body to relax into it. The longer you sit in it, the more you focus on taking deep breaths in and out, and the more you mentally focus on allowing those tight muscles to release, the more you're going to be able to sink a little bit deeper. So trying to clear your mind. Don't sit there and think through, the conversation you had with your boss. Don't think through your to-do list. Try to clear your mind. Again, focus on your breath and the sensations in your body. So that's a great one to try. And then another one to open the hip the opposite way. Oh, and before I head on to the next one, make sure that you hold the poses on either side for equal amounts of time. So even you can set a timer if you don't want to be constantly checking your watch. Just maybe even, set your phone to vibrate every 3 minutes or something like that. Give you a little buzz so that, to let you know to switch. Next one I want to show you is a bound angle pose, or Baddha Konasana variation. So I have the soles of my feet together, knees are wide, and so same thing, just use a pillow or 2 pillows, big stack of blankets, whatever you need to support your chest or your forehead, or you can even take a yoga block, place it under your forehead, whatever you need. And again, I'm going to take my palms facing up and I'm going to relax into it. And if I were actually doing this, I would probably actually use another pillow to support my chest. You can see I don't, my body kind of wants to stop about here. And so ideally what I would do is I would support my body so it's here. So it's at a point where I feel a nice stretch, but I'm not really straining to get too far into the pose. I'm going to support myself with props in that position, and then I'm going to surrender into the pose. So that's a good one for the inner thighs. And then to lengthen just the backs of the legs, you can leave both legs out, straight, flexing the feet. And again, supporting your body with blankets. In this case, if I had the pillow here, I would probably take a block, a yoga block, place it on top of my thighs and use that to support my forehead. And melting forward, lengthening through the backs of the legs. You could do both legs, or you can even fold one foot to the inside of your leg and do the same thing. Or you could do both legs together and then single legs. I've taught that in restorative classes before, and it works very well because you're opening slightly different parts of the hamstring, the back of the leg. So those are some nice seated poses. And then I don't want to close restorative yoga poses for runners without talking about a legs up the wall or Viparita Karani. You can, as a variation, take, for example, a yoga block, placing it under your hips. I'll use the pillow as an example for a yoga block. And so what that does is it helps elevate your hips, and then you can raise your legs in the air. By elevating your legs, that's allowing the blood to run out of your feet, to run out of your legs. And so that would be blood with that's deoxygenated, that's carrying natural waste products away from your legs. And once you bring your legs back down like I just did, new blood is going to go back into your legs. And so that's why it's incredibly, incredibly helpful for runners. I do that after all of my long runs. So if you are going to do legs up the wall, quick tip about how to get into it. So what you want to do is take a seat next to a wall and scoot your seat all the way up to the wall so that it feels like you're kind of as far up as you can get, and then rotate your legs up the wall. It's just kind of, and you can still scoot, but it's a lot easier way than like to try and get into it by just wiggling back. And so again, palms face up to help you relax and just clear your mind, taking deep breaths. And this is just a great refreshing pose. There is a saying among some yogis that 20 minutes of, or not 20 minutes, whatever, that 5 minutes of legs up the wall or Viparita Karani is like taking a 20-minute nap. So it's a great pose even for non-runners. So definitely give it a try even if you're not a runner. Super helpful.